It's going to be an even better speed dating panel because there are 4 of them. One of the things that we're the most proud of at Aspen Strategy Group is our Young Leaders program that we started 5 years ago. And these are members of we have 30 in our 2025 class. And what they do is, in addition to coming to Aspen and doing Zooms with great ASG members like Steve Hadley, who's here, and Jane and others, they write a paper. And then we edit it with some of the people in our network. Thank you to them for helping with that. And it was published last Friday. I'd encourage you to check it out online. On the Rise, and they write about loads of different things. So we just wanted to give you a little amuse-bouche flavor for it before you go in there. And I'm going to start here with the Kanksha. She wrote a great paper about AI and regulation. Why don't you speed date us 90 seconds through your paper for the audience, please?
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with, it's not about regulation, but about this concept of AI governance being a strategic advantage for the US. And the idea is that as rules around AI systems are evolving, we see that happening in the EU through kind of a rights-based framework. Here in the US, the administration and government more broadly is taking a pro-innovation approach. What we're seeing, and what I see from my role in the world of AI policy, is a gap in what governance of these systems will actually mean. And that means really assessing them for the risks that they pose. And as we start to adopt AI systems in critical infrastructure, defense, et cetera, and even develop, an American AI export program, it's going to be increasingly critical to address what those risks are and also what the operational controls are that will allow for transparency, trust in AI, and ensure that American AI continues to be, the most competitive in the world. And so that's really what the paper is about.
Yes, a very hot topic. Thank you for that. Next, we have Krishna. He works at UBS, and he is advocating for a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. Tell us your argument, please, Krishna.
Well, thank you so much. I think there's certainly pros and cons. I think you'll have to read the full paper to see a full digestion of all those different trade-offs. But one thing that jumped out at me specifically, obviously it will be a challenge for the US to seed the capital necessary for a sovereign wealth fund. We don't enjoy the same current account surpluses as many of the countries who have executed the model successfully, the would-be peers. But one thing I would say is when it comes to existing pools of capital, within the Social Security Trust, you have $2.7 trillion of capital taxpayer money that is essentially put into treasuries, risk-free special issue treasuries, and the returns are terrible. In 2024, the return on that pool of capital nominally was 2.5%. The S&P 500 over the same period was up 25%. And I think that betrays a certain bias towards older Americans, and it doesn't ensure the sustainability of the program for younger Americans like us. And so I think it would make sense to put 10 to 30%, which would be consistent with UBS strategic asset allocation, into alternative investments, and it would help drive the future of that program for younger Americans.
Great, thanks. Then we have Natan Garod, who works over at AJC, who works on the Center for New Middle East, and he's advocating for an Arctic policy for NATO. Natan, why don't you tell us about that?
Thank you, Neve. My paper touches on the need for a wider NATO Arctic strategy. The Arctic is right now sort of looked at as a niche regional issue when really it's a NATO alliance-wide issue and actually can stem into a whole global issue. Russia, right now, a cruise missile launched from a Russian submarine from the Kola Peninsula, which is up in the Arctic just off the coast of Finland, could reach a NATO capital in 20 minutes. So you can see how quickly that becomes an urgent issue for all NATO countries due to Article 5. It's not just the high north countries. Russia's increasing presence there. China has expressed its designs by calling it a polar Silk Road, essentially extending the Belt and Road Initiative up to the Arctic. So this isn't just Russia. This is China. This is key to national security interests for the U.S. Additionally, with climate change and melting ice caps, there'll be more opportunities for economic infrastructure development, shipping lanes, undersea cables, things like that can really make more efficient the global economy. So this is only going to become more and more prevalent as we go forward, which is why I'm advocating for more attention to be paid to the Arctic region.
Great, thanks, Natan. And then on the end there, we have Colin Fider, who's over at Carlisle, and he's also writing about AI and data centers. So why don't you, that topic du jour, go into it for us there, please, Colin.
Perfect. Thanks, Neve. First, just want to say thank you, Neve, Leah, Emily, and the Aspen Institute for really creating and running this Rise in Leaders program. It's been a phenomenal year getting to know the rest of the cohort, and they provide us great opportunities. Second, thank you for my co-authors, Meredith, Jen, on this paper. We really focused on the concept of time to power, and by definition, time to power is how long it takes for once a site selection, the data centers made, and then how long it takes to actually energize that site. So pulling the megawatts from the grid, and then you can run the chips and train the models. In the US, we have a pretty significant bottleneck right now. We have long lead times for the equipment. We have multi-year inter-queue connections. We have substation limitations and transformer capabilities. And lastly, we have a permanent system that frankly just cannot deal with this amount of growth. Jensen earlier this month compared saying that in the US, a data center takes about 3 years to build a hyperscale data center from site selection to energizing. In China, another infrastructure project such as a hospital, they can build in a weekend. Granted, not apples to apples, two different, but it just shows how fast China can build out. And then from like a national security point of view, for the country who's building the newest infrastructure, they also get the newest data centers, but they will set the standard, they build dependencies in the structure for these AI models and capabilities that are military intelligence services and the industrial players will use for years to come.
Great. Well, this is just a small sample set, but we'd like all of our rising leaders, they're wearing lime green lanyards, to please rise. And let's give them a round of applause. These are the next generation of true foreign policy leaders in national security, and we're so grateful for the time they spent with us. If you are an aspiring leader with 5 to 10 years experience, you may apply until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday night. Be prepared to write an essay and get a letter of recommendation, but we'd love to have you. It is a very competitive program. We usually have over 350 applicants for 30 spots, but it is open, and please, a big round of applause for our panels. Thanks, everybody, and thanks to our rising leaders.